Oh, can you? Yeah, perfect. Okay. Hello, everybody. You can hear me now, so that's positive. Is everyone having a good day so far? Awesome. So my name is Renee Francis. My accent comes from Australia, in case you're wondering. That's where I'm from. And today I'm here to talk to you about marketing in Web3. So just to start off, can I just get a gauge of hands? How many people here know what Web3 is? Okay, pretty good, about half. And how many people work in Web3? Okay, 3 people, awesome. Nice. Okay, so for everybody else, I'm really excited to share some of these insights with you today and to share all these concepts with you about the future of marketing and what it all means. So I do have some free gifts to give away. So I have some Take 3 merch, and I have a few copies of my book that I've published, which is a very introductory 101 guide to Web3. So at the end, we're going to have some time for questions. And if you do have some questions, then I have some gifts for you as well. So get your questions ready. So a little bit about me. So I have founded 2 successful marketing agencies. So my first one is The Bubble Co. It's a Web2 traditional agency. I've been running that for 8.5 years now. We work with clients all over the world. And I'm just giving you a little bit of context about, why I'm here talking to you today. So this is a Bubble Co. This is some of our team members. We're based in Australia, and we're a fully remote and fully flexible team, and we have been since 2016. So we've been remote since before it was cool to be remote, and when it was still the time when we'd get funny looks for saying that we don't have an office. And then 2 years ago, I founded Take 3, which is a niche Web3 dedicated marketing agency. And we work with clients like Coinbase, which is one of the biggest cryptocurrency exchanges in the world, unpacks, which is actually UK's first FCA registered exchange, as well as many others in the space. But what is Web3? So hands up again, who knows what Web3 is all about? Okay, so there's about half. So to put this really simply, to explain Web3, we actually need to go back and talk about what Web 1 is all about. So in the Web 1 era, it was very much about read-only, and it was really like when we only had Internet Explorer available to us, and the internet was very static, there wasn't a lot of interactivity, and not much you could do. I might give a prize away later for anyone who wants to imitate that dial-up internet sound from the Web 1 phase, if you're interested. So Web 2 is really like the internet as you know it now. It'd be what you're really familiar with now. And this is when it became the read and write era, and things became a lot more interactive. So this is when we got things introduced like financial wallets like PayPal, cloud storage like Google Drive, as well as social media networks as well. But with the Web 2 era came a lot of challenges. Because in this Web 2 space, as we all know and we can see today, is the big tech giants really own and control all the data, right? So enter Web 3, which is the read, write, and own era. And the difference here is that there's a lot more power that comes back to the people in terms of data ownership and data control, and who they choose to share their info with for marketing purposes. So we're going to delve into that a lot deeper. So in terms of accessing Web 3, again, if we go back to Web 1, you'll be really familiar with username and password. This still happens today. And in the Web 2 space, we've got the read and write era, and this is where you could log into different websites, different accounts, platforms, and applications using your Google or using your social media accounts. In the Web 3 era, it's all about connecting your wallet. Right, so hands up if you've accessed a website where it's asking you to connect a wallet. Okay, so about 10 people, that's awesome. Now, the challenge here is that with Web3 is the user experience, because it's such a whole new world for people. So what we're starting to find is that there are some Web3 websites and applications and businesses that are still just backtracking to this Web 2 space just for a little bit longer until everyone sort of catches up with connecting wallets and being comfortable to do so. So what is the Web3 economy all about? So there are lots of things. If you try to look for one definition about what Web3 is all about, it can be really hard to find what that is, right? Because Web3 is still an evolving industry. It's still an evolving concept. So what we know about Web3 right now was different to what we knew about Web3 12 months ago and 2 years ago, and it's going to continue to be different to what we know Web3 to be in 1 to 5 years from now. But in a nutshell, the Web3 economy encompasses all of these things you see here on screen. So cryptocurrencies, NFTs, which are non-fungible tokens, the metaverse, blockchain, and all these different concepts. So hands up here if you own some cryptocurrency. Hands up if you think cryptocurrency is a scam. Nobody? That's unusual. Hands up if you're lying. Okay. So it's very common that people think crypto and digital currencies are a scam. But actually, digital currencies are based on blockchain. And blockchain is what the underlying foundation of Web3 is based on. So when we talk about Web3, we're talking about a more decentralized world. So many years ago, many people, including me, we had this view that decentralization was our future, and we weren't going to have to rely on governments and central authorities and these big tech giants for everything that we need to do every day. But a more realistic view of Web3 is that the world will just move to a more decentralized path rather than a fully decentralized path. So in Web2, data and apps were stored on servers that are owned and controlled by big companies. So this is what happens now. So a lot of our data, if you use social media networks and use different applications, all of our data that we share with these platforms and companies are stored on central servers. So about 2 months ago, give or take, does everyone remember that day, the CrowdStrike day, and everything went down everywhere? That is because we're still living in a predominantly centralized world, and data is stored on centralized servers. But when we move to a Web3 world, data and apps are owned and stored by many, and they're stored on servers throughout a decentralized P2P network, right? And this is what we call the blockchain, essentially, or a distributed ledger, right? And the benefits of that mean that if one computer or one person or one area is affected, well, there's still thousands of others that are still upholding this network to keep running and operating. And that brings us to blockchain. So what is the blockchain? Who understands what the blockchain is? Hands up. A few. Who here are super confused about what blockchain is? Cool. Awesome. Well, let's try and make that a bit easier for you guys. So the blockchain is essentially a type of database. And it stores data in a unique way where blocks are chained together, and that's why it's called the blockchain. And so when new data comes in, it's entered into a new block, and when that block is full of data, it gets kind of stamped shut, in cryptography, and it moves on to a new block and a new block. Now, the unique part of this way of storing data is that it's immutable. So we can't go back and change data in previous blocks. So what that means is it becomes a very secure way of storing data. So I'm just going to show you a little visual representation here of how the blockchain works. So what you can see here, this is just a demo. And what we're doing is we're adding some data into block number 1. And you can see what's happening here is we're adding some data into block number 2. And you can see everything's going green because all these blocks are being attached to each other in a chain. We've added some data into block number 3 and block number 4. And you can see that this blockchain is operating well. But if we go back and try to change some data in block number 2, you can see how everything turned red because you can't go back and change data in a blockchain. And I think that's almost the end of the video now. But yeah, once you add data in chronological order and the blocks are chained together, then you have a properly functioning blockchain. So how is blockchain tech actually solving problems, and what are some applications of this technology? So back in around 2008, we had the global financial crisis. And then something emerged from that, which was Bitcoin, right? So Bitcoin was developed after the global financial crisis. And we still don't know to this day who exactly developed or invented Bitcoin. The pseudonym that they go under is Satoshi Nakamoto. And they created this blockchain technology, right, for cryptocurrency and for Bitcoin. But because it's such a great way of storing data, what other people have done along, the years, if they've looked at this this technology and gone, oh, there's so many different ways that we can use this. It's not just about cryptocurrency, and it's not just about digital currencies. So these are just some applications to know about blockchain technology. So yes, there's crypto and decentralized finance, but you can also use blockchain for supply chain management. You can use it for proof of provenance, to really track accurately where things come from. And that becomes really important when you want to track things like medicines or even organic foods, to prove that it really is where it says it's coming from. Some luxury brands have also started to use blockchain tech to prove the authenticity of their products versus the fake imitations as well. But it's used for a whole heap of things, including gaming, healthcare data management. And when you see some of these examples on screen, now understanding a little bit more about what blockchain is all about, you can start to see why it's such a great way of storing secure data for these types of applications. So almost any website or application or software that you're using today, and I'm talking about things like Spotify or Google Drive or even Google Chrome, all these things that you might use on a daily basis, there's either a Web3 version already available or it's in development. And so there's this entire Web3 world and ecosystem being built all around us, and it's just that not enough people know about it yet. So I'm going to run you through a few examples of what I'm talking about. There are loads. We could be here all day, and I could be showing you all these Web 2 versus Web 3 versions of what's being developed. But I'm just going to share with you a few key examples based around things that you probably use every day. So as a marketer, we use paid ads. So I'm talking Meta ads, LinkedIn ads, Google ads. We use this data to help our clients reach more people and achieve their goals and objectives. Now, it might sound contradictory that I'm standing up here saying Web3 is this future of, people can own their data and you don't have to share it with big tech giants. I'm not averse to data sharing. I actually think there's a benefit in receiving ads and marketing messages that are targeted to me and relevant to me. So I am probably never going to, in my entire life, buy a piece of heavy machinery or equipment. So I don't really want to see ads about those types of things. So when I share data with these platforms, I know I'm getting relevant information back. So that's what I like. But the part that I have the issue with is, well, why are these big tech giants making all the money off my data, your data, and everyone's data here, right? If you choose to share your data with marketers to get relevant messages, shouldn't you be rewarded for that? So just go back a step. So in the Web 2 world, we have Google Ads as an example, and that's exactly what I just described to you. But in the Web 3 world, we have something called Brave Ads, and we have Brave Browser. So hands up if you've heard of the Brave Browser, and you're using it, if you keep your hand up. Okay, so there's a few people here. So the really cool thing about the Brave browser is, firstly, it's a really seamless, stable browser. Some of the people that worked on Google Chrome actually helped develop, they jumped ship into Web3 and they helped develop the Brave browser. Now, the cool thing about the Brave browser is, firstly, when you start using it, you can decide whether you want to share your data for marketing purposes. And then if you choose that, yes, you do want to, and you start receiving ads, well, then you actually get rewarded and incentivized in a cryptocurrency token called the Basic Attention Token, or BAT. And basically, because it's saying, well, if you're going to give your attention to our ads, we're going to pay you directly. And then that cryptocurrency token can be converted into pounds, dollars, euros, and used as normal money every day. It's not, don't go like quitting your job straight away, because you're not going to make enough money to cover that just yet. But hey, it's better than the $0 that you're making right now off Google Ads, for example, right? So the other example is domain name registration. So who's heard of GoDaddy before, or Crazy Domains? Yep, almost everybody. So in the Web3 world, we have something called the Ethereum name service. And basically, it's a place where you can go and you can register for domains, but it's on the blockchain. So it's more secure. And instead of .com or .co.uk, it's .eth for Ethereum, which is the second biggest cryptocurrency in the world. And that's what that's all based on. Music streaming. So who uses Spotify or Apple Music to listen to music, podcasts, any sort of audio? So in the Web3 world, we have many examples, but one is called Audius. And again, the difference is it becomes blockchain-based. Artists get rewarded more and incentivized more and compensated more for their creative work. And it's all blockchain and cryptocurrency based, right? Event ticketing is an awesome use case for blockchain. Now, who went to the Taylor Swift concert that's happening or happened? Nobody. Okay, awesome. Okay, who heard about how crazy some of the Taylor Swift ticket prices were, though? Okay, so in Australia, where I'm from, last year there was resale of Taylor Swift's concert tickets happening for $30,000 per ticket, just to see Taylor Swift, right? And that's because we use platforms like Ticketmaster or Ticketek and all these platforms that you're probably used to. But in the Web3 world, one example is called UTIX, and UTIX uses the blockchain tech to prevent all those things from happening, right? So when event organizers are using a platform like UTIX, a blockchain-based ticketing platform to sell their tickets, it prevents all of what I just described with Taylor Swift's concert from happening. And then social media. So hands up if, I'm going to do it the other way. Hands up if you were not on social media. Nobody. Of course you're not. We're at Tech for Marketing. Why would you not be on social media? So in the Web2 world, we've got Facebook as an example. We've also got Instagram. You know all the platforms, TikTok. In the Web3 world, we have platforms like Farcaster, DSO. There's a whole range of them happening. And again, they're much more privacy-based, much more security-based, and all the ownership of data and everything is with the person, because again, it's all blockchain-based. And really, we're just at the start of all of this. So you'd remember at the beginning of this, I said, all of this is being built all around us, all under our noses, and it's just that not enough people know about it yet. So who's seen this innovation adoption curve before? A couple of people. So where we are, or where we believe we are, in the Web3 adoption is, okay, so this works over here, so it's really handy for this presentation. So where we believe we are is just before this area called the chasm, which means we're just at the end of all the early adopters coming in. And then once we cross that chasm, we're into the early majority. And the belief is that this is all happening in the next couple of years. So smart companies and smart businesses are getting ahead of this right now, and they're preparing themselves. And the ways they're doing this is by, one, not relying solely on third-party data, which means not relying solely on paid ads for your marketing efforts. So we'll get into how this all impacts marketers. So while all these traditional and digital marketing strategies have been really good, they have their limitations, which I've touched on a little bit already. But some of those include the lack of data privacy and control, the trust issues, ad fraud, ad blockers, limited targeting precision. And when we move into the Web3 world, we aim to have more transparency with marketing. Now, there's a whole bunch of people out there that we call Web3 natives because they've been in crypto, NFTs, all these decentralized Web3 applications for many, many years already. And they are really averse to all these traditional platforms. So it's really important to keep in mind in business and in marketing that you're not going to reach those people on the traditional platforms that we all use today. But when we talk about trust and transparency, decentralization removes the need for the intermediaries and these big tech giants, which a lot of people are becoming more averse to. And Also, users have more control over their data, which I've mentioned to you before, and you need to take this into consideration from now in starting to build up zero and first-party data, so your own data that you own and can control, and you're not relying on ad platforms and other people to reach your target audiences. And in a Web3 world, we gain more customer loyalty through something called tokenization, right? So tokens represent ownership, value, and access rights to certain things in the Web3 world. And it's these tokens that people want to get their hands on and sometimes even invest in, right? And finally, content creators have more control over monetization in the Web3 world. So whether you're working with artists, content writers, anyone in this creative space, then decentralization, blockchain tech, and Web3 really enables more ownership and control over data for them and different ways that they monetize. We can also create much more immersive experiences in Web3. So I haven't touched on it too much today because I'd need a lot more time, but there is technology like AR, VR, the metaverse, NFTs, and all of this sort of gets encapsulated under the Web3 world. And finally, what's really important to note is in our traditional and even current marketing space, we talk about social media followings as like audiences that we talk to, and there's not a lot of engagement that happens. But in the Web3 world, because often people are buying into certain different companies through tokens and things like that, they're much more engaged, and we're actually creating communities around our brands rather than audiences that we just talk to. And these communities are often really, really immersed in what's happening. So there are some challenges with all this. So I'm just gonna go through these quickly. So there's regulatory and legal implications. So whichever sort of jurisdiction you're operating in, make sure you're checking that out. And there's a big learning curve as well, because Web3 almost, it means that we need to unlearn a lot of the conditioning that we've learned our whole lives around tech giants owning things and having like other people having control of data. So it's really important to engage with the right people and experts in this space who have been doing this for a long time. So how do we help at Take3? Well, we are a team of these Web3 natives. We provide Web3 training workshops. So if you're interested in that, let me know. We do Web3 marketing strategies and implementations for a variety of clients. These are just a few examples on screen here. As I mentioned before, we work with cryptocurrency exchanges, gaming companies, crypto payment platforms, and a whole range of people in the space. This is how to contact me, so if you want to scan my QR code, please feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn. Always happy to have a chat if you'd like to know more. And I think I might be out of time. I'm not entirely sure. I might just have a couple of minutes for questions. Does anybody have questions?
I would like to know if you have experience with any company about the metaverse and what strategies do you use to attract people?
Sure. So the question is about the metaverse and the use of the metaverse and how we would attract more people into the metaverse. Did I get that right? So the metaverse was a really big narrative in the last bull run, which was around 2021, 2022. And there was an influx of really big companies entering the metaverse space. But the metaverse still needs a lot more time to evolve and develop. And we know it was big because Mark Zuckerberg went and changed his company name from Facebook to Meta and had this big investment in building out the metaverse. So the metaverse is still in its very early stages. There's not a lot of, like right now, we're in what's called, well, we're sort of entering a bull run, but we've been in a bear market and the adoption has been very low. But some of the best examples I've seen is when like companies in our physical real world, they create pop-up or immersive experiences in the metaverse that overlap between the Web 2 and Web 3 world, and they're the best ones that I've seen, but we can chat about it more after this. Yep. Any other questions? All right, well, thank you so much for joining. Once again, feel free to connect, and thanks for having me today.